Our events are made possible through the support of our incredible sponsors, and thank you to Bell, we've got Sandy here, for their ongoing support as our breakfast sponsor this morning. And I'm actually going to move right into the nitty-gritty of this and introduce Sandy McDonald, the Regional Director of Community Affairs with Bell Canada. Please join me in welcoming Mr. McDonald.
I'm delighted to be here this morning to join you all to help work to break down the stigma associated with mental illness. Today marks the 13th annual Bell Let's Talk Day and Canada's National Day for Mental Health. Together, over the years, we have grown awareness around mental health and helped to reduce the stigma associated with mental illness. But now it's time to come together, as we are here today, to take action and show support for mental health and in meaningful and impactful ways to help ensure all Canadians can access the mental health and addiction supports that they need to flourish. The theme of the Bell Let's Talk Day campaign this year is Let's Change This, and is a collective call to action and change as many Canadians continue to face struggles getting the mental health support they need. While we have made much progress when it comes to mental health, we know more must still be done. By hosting and participating in events like this, you are helping to help convert awareness into action to help create positive change for mental health in this community. Today will look a little different than past Bell Let's Talk days in that Bell is not donating 5 cents per interaction as they have in the past. But we have gone ahead and committed $10 million, more than any past Bell Let's Talk Day. That takes us up to over $139 million donated towards improving the mental health of all Canadians. Today, the focus is on raising the voices of organizations that are creating change. Organizations like the Enrichment Center for Mental Health. The focus is on each and every one of us sharing what we're doing for our own mental health, for the mental health of those around us, on education and knowledge to broaden our understanding, on considering how we may be able to get involved with a mental health organization as a volunteer or even as a donor. Thank you so much to organizations like the Enrichment Center for Mental Health and so many others, people like Sandy Sidgwick here today, for the action that you are taking each and every day to provide meaningful support and services to the people of this region. Your impact is felt far beyond this region, I'm sure. Thank you to the Chamber for hosting these events. Just happen so organically now, and it's quite magical when I think back to when we launched this, all those years ago. So I think Sandy and I were just reminiscing. I think there were maybe 20 people in the room at the first breakfast that we had, and I feel like we begged people to come. So it's wonderful to see a full room. So thank you so much for being here today and every day going forward. Let's commit to creating positive change together. And now it is my honor to introduce my friend, Sandy. And I'm going to read her bio because she loves that. Sandy Sidgwick has been a poverty advocate and mental health proponent for over 25 years. She has experience in child welfare, domestic violence, municipal government, and has been the executive director of the Enrichment Center for Mental Health, formerly Canadian Mental Health Association, Hastings and Prince Edward, for the past 13 years. And she was one of the first Bell Let's Talk Community Fund grant recipients all those years ago. Anyway, over to Sandy. Thank you so much.
Great, this slants. I was hoping I could discreetly put my water there since I still have a cough from the winter time. Before I begin, which is quite an honor to be here today, I just want to give a couple of public acknowledgments because as many of you know in this room, I'm looking at United Way, you were one of the first people I contacted Christmas Day. Our agency suffered a major flood Christmas morning, and 7,000 square feet was water damaged. And as many of you who've been into our program knows, we have a beautiful floating floor, and that morning it literally was floating. I want to give a special shout out to Belleville Fire Services. They were on site. I had thought it was a squirrel when I went up in the car after the alarm company had notified me, and when I saw the 2 trucks parked outside our agency, I knew we were in for something a little different. They were amazing. They had the doors open. They were squeaking out water. It was just filled with people in action when I walked in, and it had only been 20 minutes. So we have remarkable emergency services. I know I always give a shout out to police services, not because Sherry Peake sits on our board, but because they're amazing. But this time, I do want to acknowledge that Belleville Fire Services went above and beyond for our little agency that day, and we're so grateful. And of course, Toronto Capital Corporation, our landlord, everything's been replaced. An amazing group called Top Level Contractors. They were in and out and did such an amazing job. And of course, Belfour was there on site with all these blowers and dryers, and it sounded like airplanes landing in our back half of our program space. But we're back in business fully, and it hasn't even been, well, it's a month today. So really just grateful to the whole community, everyone's offers of help. It was amazing. So thank you. So let's talk. Let's talk about change. Let's talk about how we're going to allow our emergency responders to feel comfortable in saying that they're not okay, and support them to be okay so they can continue to be on the job and help us. Let's talk about how we're going to support parents with adult children who are struggling and whose heartache is knowing as they get older, they don't know how their child is going to survive without them. Let's talk how we create change so that can happen. Let's talk about community collaboration for change. I had a chance to meet with so many people before this breakfast started, and we're talking about interweaving through these silos that sometimes are forced on us because of funding dynamics. But we're working on how can we move around that to support each other. How do I, as an adult mental health agency, support someone from the Children's Safety Village for training or hold space for an activity? We have somebody coming from police services to use our space for a yoga meditation day. How awesome is that? A community mental health organization saying it's okay to come in and take care of body and mind. This is why the water, folks. Let's talk about how we look at being able to say we're not okay in the workplace. I'm looking at some employers that we work closely with to create change for their employees and to be successful. And I just sat beside the amazing Stephanie from Mops Major, and we know we've been supporting some people through our employment program into her workplace, and she was just telling me success after success after success. Let's talk about taking someone who's on ODSP for anxiety that's crippling and working with them through our employment programs and the gift programs, and they just accept a position that starts at $75,000. Let's talk about how life-changing that is for a mom with 3 young kids. Let's talk about the return on investment for that change. See, I'm learning the lingo, Brandy. Aren't you proud of me? After 13 years, I'm getting it, right? It's not all about the story, but it's knowing the language of the funder. I got it. Let's talk about the return on investment for those 3 children to see mom succeeding. And knowing that mom had some support to succeed, that she did it with the community, and that she has a group of cheerleaders still cheering her on after 6 months. We're not going away. Let's talk about creating a safe place for families to come and grieve when they lose a child to suicide. Let's talk about a place where they can cry, where they can rage, where they can scream, and no one's going to back away from that. In fact, someone is going to sit in that silence and hold space for them to do that. Let's talk about how that looks. Let's talk about different models of care. That's not all primary focus. That's not all tagged institutionalized. Let's not look at it as just this one way. Let's talk about a mental health community that incorporates every piece of it, for everyone to access care in the way that they need. Many of you know my story. My mother was a valiant, fierce warrior for her own mental illness, and she sadly lost her battle in 2010. After many years working in being in psychiatric hospitals, disappearing from my life, trying different ways to cope with her own illness, she enjoyed a period of wellness for 11 years before her depression became so and she ended her life. But in that time of wellness, it took a psychiatrist, it took a community counselor, it took a primary care physician that knew what was going on, and she enjoyed that span of happiness. And that was a gift to all of us. That is the realization when I end up here that mental health is a gift that we need to be able to support, not just for ourselves, but let's talk about how we do it for others. Let's talk about creating change that says everyone in this room can send an email if they've got someone that needs care, and we can find a resource for them. One of the stats that I saw, Sandy, was that 1 in 2 people aren't getting the support they need. And if you look in this room, that's a lot of people, because if we look at let's talk about 1 in 4 not being well. And then if you do the math around this table, and everybody's going, I'm not making eye contact right now because there's nobody I'm going to say it's me. I get it. But then if we look at that stat, that probably in a table, 2 people might be dealing with a mental health issue, and only 1 can access care. Let's talk about creating that change. 5 minutes? Thanks, Steph. Okay. She's my book, because I'm getting up here. I don't know what I'm going to say until it starts rolling out of my mouth. But that's my privilege when I'm sitting up here. Let's talk about change that is meaningful. Let's talk about change that's mindful. Let's talk about change that's inclusive. And of course, we have to have the funding talk. But as I discovered in 2 conversations this morning, it's not always about money. It's about, can you do this for us and we can do this for you. We need to start having those conversations, and we need to be able to say we can do this together. Because we're not through this yet, folks. Not by a long shot. We still have a tough road ahead of us. And I think that's why I'm so grateful for places like Bell to let us take small ideas and grow them, because it doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be small and find a place to go from to create wellness. And I'm grateful for the Chamber. I mean, the employers that we have gotten to work with, Jill, through you and Lisa, that we're able to place people through our employment programs and go into their workplaces and help them have the dialogue with their staff on talking about how they feel, creates that wellness. So thank you on giving us that gift. We really appreciate it. So in my closing, I'm just going to say start talking. Start talking about your own wellness. Start talking to your kids. Start talking to your partner. Let's talk. Let's talk about change. Let's talk about grace. Let's talk about being well. Thank you. I have the distinct pleasure of inviting His Worship up because he's got a very important job to perform this morning. And Mayor Ellis.
I'm glad I'm not speaking after you.
I'm going to invite our members of the board to join Mayor Ellis in front of the table here. That would be perfect. We did a bit of a swearing in. So everybody can see your whole bodies. You've been masked up, clothed, zoomed from the neck up for 2 years now. We get to actually meet our board members in person this time. And we want to go through this official ceremony of swearing in a way that we haven't been able to do in a very long time. Normally, this would be a portion of our president's dinner. We would do a formal passing of the gavel, all that good stuff. But what I'd like to do today is we're going to change up the president's dinner, trying to shorten it, recognizing that some of you feel it's too long, or maybe you just want to silent this go longer. So anyway, what we'll do is we'll ask the mayor to, first of all, I think we want to say, Anthony, you have a job to perform.
I do.
You have a passing of something.
Pass the gavel. Officially passing the gavel to Dale Lord as president for 2023.
And then here, I will get this microphone to you.
Congratulations, Dale. You got a rough bunch. You're going to have to control here, right? So, okay, we're ready for this?
Yes.
I swear that I will faithfully and truly perform my duties as a director of the Belleville Chamber of Commerce. Repeat after me. Sorry. We'll start this over again. Okay, I swear that I will faithfully and truly perform my duties as a director of the Belleville Chamber of Commerce. It just has to happen at this time. Okay, it's a government phone. I'm in trouble. Okay, let's start over again. Are you ready? Okay, I swear that I will faithfully and truly perform my duties as a director of the Belleville Chamber of Commerce.
I swear that I will faithfully and truly perform my duties as a director of the Belleville Chamber of Commerce.
And that I will in all matters connected with the discharge of such duty.
And I will in all matters connected with the discharge of such duty.
Do all things as such things only I shall truly and conscientiously believe. To be adapted to promote the objects for which the said chamber was constituted,
The said chamber was constituted
according to the true intent and meaning of the same.
according to the true intent and meaning of the same.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
So come and sit down.
First time my phone has ever rang during a speech. I apologize.
Well, good morning, everyone. That was a pretty tough test, Your Worship. But I think we passed, so we're off to a good start. Okay, so I'm going to call, on behalf of myself and the 2023 Board of Directors, thank you for coming this morning. As incorporated under the Board of Trade Act, the Chamber is required to hold 4 meetings of its membership annually. While we hold a number of events, we haven't always designated these as meetings. So in accordance with our bylaws, on or before January 30th of each year, the Board of Directors shall meet, elect a president, first vice president, second vice president, third vice president, and secretary-treasurer to be the executive of the Chamber. At our meeting on December 16th, the old and new board convened to elect the executive, and I confirm that all but one of these officers are elected members of the board and have completed or will be completing at least 1 year on the board. I'm reading this, by the way. The officers confirmed are as follows. President, Dale Hord, from Micro-H, that would be me. First Vice, Finance, Christina Wallace, from Wallace Law. Second Vice, Government Affairs, Sandra Leslie, from Meta Employment Services. The Treasurer, Jeanette Steer-Guerrero, from Wilkinson & Company. Membership Chair, Chris Auger, Trent Valley Distributors. And the past presidents and governance, Anthony Callahan, from McDougall Insurance and Financial. The position of third vice president is open pending Chris Auger's completion of 1 year served following his appointment to the board in May, at the May 2022 AGM. Until that time, he will serve as chair of the membership committee to prepare for that role. Unfortunately, a couple of our chairs are missing for some very good reasons that we will talk about in a few minutes. But we will still take a few minutes to review their goals for the coming year with the committees they will be chairing, and hope you'll consider joining one. At the very least, please stay tuned to our progress over the coming months. And following the committee updates, I will ask each of the remaining board members to offer a brief introduction so you will have officially met all of these board members available to attend today. Wow, get through that. Oh, I didn't do it. So, is it too late now? All right, I call this meeting to order. So I guess we'll just pass the microphone down to Christina, who is the first vice president and the chair of finance, for some comments.
Hi, I'm Christina Wallace. I'm a lawyer. I've been a director on with the Chamber since year 2020. My practice, I'm a sole practitioner in Belleville. I practice litigation, employment law, and construction lien law. I have a long history with Belleville. I went to high school here, Wyra. I raised my 3 children here. I then moved away for a while, but I moved back in 2019 and opened my own practice. I was a lawyer in downtown Toronto for a period of time. I really enjoy being with the Chamber in order to meet the business community in Belleville and connect with people, get to know them, get to know the business needs in the community and the issues that they're facing. And I'm quite thrilled to be on the board to help push those issues and solutions forward and get to know as many people as I can. I want to tell you a bit about the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee has been developing as a committee outside of the executive domain in order to provide general membership the opportunity to participate and offer great transparency to our finances. As we worked through the first accreditation process, one of the first activities was to include a financial review using an external accounting firm. Welch has been appointed to do that work, with Wilkinson extending support for a volunteer to act as our treasurer for many years. 2019 was a year of significant changes to our membership model and bookkeeping procedures. But from that, we are in a much stronger financial position than we've ever been. In 2022, the Finance Committee worked on policies for investments, and we were able to place $100,000 in GICs in 2022. Strategically, we are now in a position to manage a reserve and identify and invest in resources that will help us grow, or even add an update or 2 to the log cabin. I want to invite Jeanette, our treasurer, to describe how she reviews our monthly information to ensure the board can fulfill its fiduciary duty of oversight. Jeanette?
All right, thanks, Christina. Can you hear me okay? Hi, everyone. My name is Jeanette Sear-Guerrero. I'm a chartered professional accountant at Wilkinson & Company, LLP. We do, accounting and tax services from, small to medium-sized businesses, not-for-profit, and, ever along that spectrum. We do personal and corporate taxes as well. I was born and raised in Belleville. I settled down here now with my husband and my 2 guinea pigs. As Christina mentioned, Wilkinson has supported the Chamber for many years as we volunteer on the board. Wilkinson was founded on the value of community service, so that's really important to us. I've been on the board as a treasurer for 2 years. I got involved in order to build relationships in the business community and get to understand better the issues facing businesses through our advocacy work. So as a treasurer, I monitor the timeliness of the information that goes to and from our bookkeepers, look at the bank and credit card reconciliations, monitor internal controls, cash flows and payroll, all the fun stuff. I review the monthly financial statements compared to expectations and to budget that we set at the start of every year that Jill works so hard on. So I provide monthly reports to the Finance Committee and to the board, summarizing the financial information, trying to provide organized and relevant information so that the board can ask questions and fulfill its financial oversight duties and make decisions more effectively. And with that, I'll turn things back over to President Dale.
Thank you, Jeanette. I should just take a second again to thank the Sandys that brought my table this morning. And I'm up here speaking, and I go, man, I wish I could speak like Sandy Sidworth. That was great. That was really great this morning. This time I would introduce Sandra Leslie, who is the second vice president and chair of Government Affairs Committee. But unfortunately, Sandra is still dealing with some after effects of COVID. And while she was hoping to be here, she's provided me this introduction in her absence. Sandra is the executive director at Meta Vocational Services and has been with the agency over 4 years. Sandra has worked in the field of social services for over 25 years, starting in the field of development services and now employment. She has an educational background in business, human resources, and not-for-profit leadership. As Meta provides services to the local employer, she is proud to be on the board of the Chamber of Commerce, as it allows her to better understand the issues employers face in our community. Do you want to talk? Yeah, they're getting bored of me.
It might go the same way, the other way too. But what we wanted to describe with regard to what the Government Affairs Committee is going to be working on this year, I just wanted to make some comments on behalf of Sandra. That in spite of the much more public and visible activity of the membership committee with our events, the Chamber movement and network was originally designed as an advocacy group to represent the needs of business to municipal, provincial, and federal governments. On behalf of our members, which are you, the Government Affairs Committee, which includes a number of our board members and others from the general membership, represents the needs of our membership by monitoring policy resolutions from the Ontario and Canadian Chambers of Commerce and local and municipal governments. We seek input from members regarding issues of interest as it pertains to legislation and issues impacting their success. And we inform you and partnering associations of activity relevant to your successful operation. The Chamber, through communication and representation on various other committees, also serves to represent your side of the story to the public and the community you're a part of. Business is the backbone of our local economy, and you are part of what makes the city great. Sometimes that needs to be shared and celebrated too. During election years, our mandate extends to providing access to the community at large to candidates through debates and public meeting opportunities. Without an election this year, we are able to focus on a more proactive review of policy and legislative issues. The deadline for the Ontario Chamber of Commerce policy resolutions approaches next week, and we work with other chambers both regionally and across Eastern Ontario to expand the voice of support behind issues relevant to you. Certainly, your input at the municipal level is welcome anytime, and just as we plan to actively work to support our city's needs at the provincial and federal level, we are here to support yours to council. The Chamber also provides letter of support as requested by their community partners and will be actively present at the table with organizations invested in finding solutions for workforce development and recruitment, housing inventory, homelessness, mental health, and addictions and transportation. Connecting your concerns to these conversations is our priority. The Government Affairs Committee meets monthly, and if you are interested in joining us at any meeting, please add this to the sign-up sheet provided at your table. Everyone see the little orange sheet? So if you're interested in participating in any of these committees, this is your day to do it. Drop it off with Lisa on the way out.